Welcome back to the Suburban Ford 7 Sports Cave. Happy you joined us today. Rico Beard and Tony Paul, along with me, Tom Lydon. We're going to now send it to our man Justin Rose, who yesterday had a chance to sit down with David Price, one of the Tigers' starting pitchers.
Obviously traded late at the deadline last year, joined with the Tigers throughout the rest of their push through the playoffs, and here you are with your first spring training. What has the transition been like from one organization to another?
Coming here, all the guys who made it, the transition go a lot more smoothly for me. All the guys on the team, the coaching staff, the trainers, everybody has taken me in extremely well. Everybody's been very personable, and it's made my transition, go a lot better.
Fair or not, a lot of people are putting a lot of speculation on how good this rotation is without Max Scherzer. I don't necessarily look at it that way, but how do you look at this rotation?
I got to see Greeny throw against us twice and absolutely shoved. Threw against us, once in New York, went out for the ninth for a complete game shutout. His stuff is unreal. I think he's going to be the guy that I'll be most excited to watch on our staff when I'm not pitching, just because how electric his stuff is, and he's so young.
A guy that you'll be pretty much 1A and 1B with, Justin Verlander, put on 20 pounds of muscle mass. He's throwing some heat early on in his bullpen sessions. What's your prognosis of how Justin's going to look this season?
He's doing some things with his arm, stuff like that. I remember obviously seeing Justin whenever he was doing what he was doing a couple years ago on TV, and that was nuts. It was crazy to watch, and I know he's working extremely hard, this offseason. And I think the thing that's probably most refreshing about Justin is just you can kind of see it in him. He feels, I don't know if rejuvenated is the word, but he feels like it's maybe more normal. I don't think he felt normal the past 2 seasons.
All right, let's lighten it up a little bit, David. Favorite thing about being a pitcher?
It's probably the 4 days off. I can't lie. Yeah, that's probably the best thing about being a pitcher. You get 4 days off. That's
there it is.
That's the best part about it. I'm sorry.
No, that's a great answer. It's a real answer.
I guess you have a chance to throw a complete game.
Thank you, Justin. We heard David talk about Shane Green, and I want your thoughts on Shane Green because he's one of the great unknowns that a lot's going to be expected of.
No, there's a lot of unknowns with this team, and he would be technically one of them because he's new, came over from the Yankees in that 3-team deal with the Diamondbacks. But Shane Green's got good stuff, and everyone you talk to raves about the fact. He throws in the mid to high 90s. He's got very good secondary stuff, very good deception. He's being asked to replace Rick Porcello, and I think he could do much better than replace Rick Porcello. I think this was a good move for them, much better than the Alfredo Simon move. I'm excited to see how he does. I think this is a big pickup for them.
Let's start the clock. We're going to do a condensed version of the Fast 5 minutes. We're going to call it the Fast 3 minutes. And boys, our first question is this. It's baseball themed.
Oh, boy.
Would you have fired Brad Ausmus after 1 year, knowing that you could have conceivably gotten Joe Madden to lead this team?
This is an awful question. I hope Brad's not watching because I actually talked about this a little bit when it was happening, but it would be a cruel move. The Cubs did it with Rick Renteria 1 year and you're out. But you know what? When you have a chance to go get the best manager, in my opinion, in baseball, I think that everything's on the table. You certainly have to consider it. I think the Tigers have a little bit more heart than that. I don't think they did consider it. But if it's me, I'd do what the Cubs did. You have a chance to get the best. Those chances don't come around very often. I think you got to pull the trigger.
Do you agree with him or not agree with him, Rico?
No, I agree with him. They had a precedent. They did it when Sparky Anderson became available.
Right.
You go for the best, and it's no hard feelings, Brad, but we didn't know that Madden was going to be available, and we're going to go after him. We're here to win. We're not here to make friends.
Typically there's arguments on these topics, but there isn't on this one because I think I would have done the same thing. I would have liked to see Madden before the 2014 season, so that's the camp I sit in. Obviously, we all wish Brad Ausmus well and hope that he leads this team to the playoffs. But topic number 2, we touched on it before, Ndamukong Suh. This time next month, is Ndamukong Suh on the Lions roster?
Yes, he shouldn't be, but the Lions are going to do the dummy move. They're going to panic at the last second at the deadline, and they're going to pay him the money. They're going to franchise him. They're going to cripple this organization. It's not what I want. You got to think like the Lions, and the Lions have done nothing logically in Lion history, so why would they let it go? Yes, Suh will be a Lion.
Will it be because of the franchise, or do you think they're going to be able to work out a deal?
I think they're going to try to work out a deal. I think they want him here, and I think you're starting to see a few signs that maybe Ndamukong Suh wants to be here too. He's sticking around town. You hear that he's having dinner at Royal Oak. He's hanging out with Jim Harbaugh. He's around during the offseason. I think he wants to be here. And look, I think if you're trying to win, I think defense is very important. I think that should be where every team probably starts. So I think that they will sign him long term, and I think you're starting to see that he's open to that.
I think I'm going to side more with Rico on this one, that he will be here, but I think it's going to take franchising him. I don't think he takes it this far, this long, all the signs point this way, and all of a sudden he's like, okay, I'll cut a deal with this team at the last minute. We'll see. We got a few more days to figure out if that's going to happen. We're going to stick with the Lions, and we're going to shift over to our next topic. First round, and I know a lot of this depends on Sue. Do you think the Lions should go after a running back in the first round this year?
Once again, no. I don't think that they should go after a running back, but you got to think like the Lions. And the Lions have done nothing logically because last year, when you needed a backup defensive tackle, you went out and you got Eric Ebron. So, yes, the Lions will probably go after a running back. They don't need to, though, but they probably will. If Todd Gurley's sitting there or Melvin Gordon, they won't pass up on him.
I agree. I think that they will go after a running back. I actually think it's a position of need for this team, but I'm not, it depends too. If they go after a free agent running back, they can also go that route and change things up for the draft. But I think it's something that they need to address. I think that's a part. If they sign Sue, if they address the defense with that, I think they shift to the offense in the draft.
The guy I'm keeping my eye on is how they're going to treat Reggie Bush, because it's unfair, but Reggie Bush, they don't need to make any major decision on him until right before the regular season. And you hate to see them do something like this to a veteran. He is still here. And if anything happens to the depth of this team, Reggie's got to be there, man. I don't think that they're going to make any sort of major decision until it gets to right before the regular season. It's not fair to a vet, but sometimes life in the NFL isn't fair. One final segment coming up. These guys have been brewing on a final thought. We'll let them share it with you when the Suburban Ford 7 Sports Cave continues after a short break.